You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this?
Okay, imagine this. You are a retired special ops soldier, one of the best in the business trained, lethal discipline. You are walked away for all of it. No more missions, no more blood on your head, no more living in the shadows. You found your peace, you built a quiet life, and right at the center of that new life, a giant panda. Not a metaphor, not a symbol, an actual living, breathing, bamboo chewing giant panda named Who. Now I want you to sit with for that for a second, because on the surface that sounds absolutely ridiculous. It sounds like the setup to a joke, and honestly part of it, kind of it. But here is the thing about Panda Plan, and here's why we are talking about it today. This movie somehow talks that ludicrous premise, wraps it in non-stop action, genuine heart, and some surprisingly sharp comedy, and turns it into one of the most wildly entertaining action films Jackie Chan has delivered in years. And I mean years, because let's be real, Jackie Chan has been a legend for decades. The man is a living cinematic institution, but there was a stretch there, especially through his more recent American and Chinese co-productions, where something felt off. The energy wasn't quite right. The film felt like they were coasting on nostalgia rather than delivering something new. And then Panda Plan drops, and suddenly you remember why the world fell in love with this guy in the first place. But hold on, we are not just talking about Jackie Chan today. This movie has layers. It has a full ensemble cast, a surprisingly twist plot, some genuinely funny moments that land without feeling forced, and action sequence that, while obviously scaled back from Chan's 90s, 80s, and 90s peak, still carry that signature creative energy that nobody, and I mean nobody, in Hollywood can fully replicate. So what exactly is Panda Plan? Where does it fit in the action comedy landscape of the mid 2020s? It is a return to form, or it is just a fun but forgettable popcorn flick? And most importantly, does the panda steal the shadow? Spoiler alert, yes, absolutely yes, the panda absolutely steal the show. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Stick with me, because we are going deep on this one. We are talking full story breakdown, character analysis, themes, directions, performances, the works. This is the kind of video you put on when you want someone to just talk to you about a movie, break it down, connect the dots, tell you what it all means. That's what we are here for. So grab whatever you are drinking, get comfortable, and let's talk about Panda Plan. Panda Plan, also known internationally under the title J Code in some marks, was released in 2024, and it marks yet another chapter in Jackie Chan's endlessly fascinating career. Directed by Ding Xing, who has worked with Chan before on Little Big Soldier and Railroad Tigers. The film represents a kind of homecoming in that sense. Two collaborators who clearly understand each other's, returning to territory that feels natural for both of them. Now Ding Xing is an interesting filmmaker. He doesn't have the flashiest reputation in Western films circle, but he has a genuinely solid grasp on action comedy pacing, and he knows how to frame Jackie Chan in a way that maximizes the star's strengths without trying to pretend the man is still in his 40s. There is an intelligence to that. There is respect built into the direction that pays off throughout the film. The cast alongside Jackie Chan is worth nothing. You are got Stephanie Sun, yes, the pop icon making a return to acting, which alone was a major talking point in Asian entertainment circles. You are also got a sporting cast that includes some younger performers who serve as foils and allies to Chan's character throughout the film, and then of course there is the Panda who the real star. Let's talk about genre for a second because Panda Plan is genuinely interesting blend and its core it is an action comedy that much is obvious but is also deep into espionage thriller territory with the MacGuffin plot that drives the central conflict, and there's surprisingly warm family drama underpinning the whole thing. It is only ambition in way that don't always work perfectly, but the ambition itself is admirable. With when this film was released, audience expectations were layered. Jackie Chan fans in China were excited, and they always are when Chan releases something domestically, but there was also a specific subject of international fans who had been burned before. People who had watched films like The Foreigner, which is great actually, or some of the more forgettable entries in Chan's late career catalog, and wondered if the magic was really still there. Panda Plan does not answer that questions the way a 1994 Drunken Master 2 would. It's not that it was never going to be that, but what it does do it is find a lane that feels honest to where Jackie Chan is a performer in 2024, older, a little slower, but still impossibly charming, still physically present in a way most action stars his age simply are not, and still capable of enjoying a film with genuine warmth, comedic timing that has not dimmed one bit. The cultural context matter here too. Panda Plan is in many ways a Chinese production aimed primarily at Chinese audience, and it carries that sensibility throughout. The giant panda, China's most iconic animal, its most powerful symbol of soft diplomacy and national identity, being placed at the center of an action comedy is not accidental. It's a deliberate, creative, and cultural choice. The panda is a walking welding metaphor, and we'll get into that in the themes section. But for now, just know that the film is operating on multiple levels simultaneously: entertainment, nostalgia, national pride, and a kind of a gentle commentary on what it means to protect something precious and irreplicable. Alright, this is the setup. Now let's get into the actual movie. The film opens the way a very good action movie should, with a quiet moment before everything goes sideways. We are introducing to Zhang, Jackie Chan's character, not in the middle of a fight, not practicing out of a helicopter, but living an extraordinary life. He runs a small panda's conversation center. He tends to bamboo. He keeps to himself, and he has what appears to be deeply genuine, almost paternal relationship with the giant panda named Who. Now the cinematography in this opening scene is deliberately soft, warm tones, gentle natural light, the kind of a visual language that says this is a man of at peace. The score underneath this is unhurried. There are no sudden cuts. Ding Shang is doing something smart here. He's establishing a baseline of calm, especially so that when it shatters, the contract hits harder, and it doesn't shatter, but not before we spend a meaningful amount of time understanding who Zhang is, or most especially who used he saved to be. This is a man of peace. The score and strength is unhired. There is no sudden cut. Ding Shang is doing something smart here. He is establishing a baseline for calm, especially so that when it shatters, the contract hit harder. And it doesn't shatter, but before we spend a meaningful amount of time understanding who Zhang is, or more especially who he used to be, through a series of carefully placed visual cues, a particular way he moves when he doesn't think anyone's watching, the way his eyes clock every exit when he walks into a crowded market, the old photograph tucked behind a frame in his living quarters. We understand that this man has a past, a serious past. He is not just a panda's keeper, he was something else entirely. But exactly, the film is smart to not fully tip its hand in the opening act, but the implication is clear. This man was trained to do trained to The scenes between them in the first act are genuinely funny, not in a cheap way, not in a look at the silly pandas way, but in the way the people who have spent time around animals knows the humor comes from the relationship, not the novelty. Zhang feeds who he talks to, who he solves, who he apologizes to, who and who for his part responds to all of this is with the magnificent indifference of a creative who paid for hundreds pounds and has zero concept of consequence. It is a beautiful dynamic. Then the acting incidents, a group of men shows up in the conversation center, not obviously bad guys at first. They are dressed professionally, they carry the right paperwork, they speak in the massed measured town of bureaucracy. There is there to transport who official panda diplomacy business. The panda is being loaned to be to a foreign facility as part of an international conversations argument. Zhang is resistant, deeply resistant, but the paperwork is legitimate. The authorization is real. He has no ground to refuse. He watches, and this is beautifully act moment from Jackie Chan. This is a flicker of something old and generous behind those eyes. He watches as who is looked into a transport create and driven away. And then just as the transport convoy is crossing into the outstrike of the city, everything goes wrong. A rival group of men intercepts the convoy, not bureaucrat creators, not conversations. There are professionals of a different kind entirely. There is a gunfire, there is a chacos, and here is where the movie's central mystery kicks in. Who is stolen, not just relocated, stolen by people who are very clearly not interested in panda's conversations. Zhang, watching from a distance because he couldn't help himself and had been quietly following the convoy, sees this happened, and in that moment we watch something click back on inside him, something that was supposed to stay off, something dangerous. He pulls out a phone, an old phone, a burner, makes one call, says three words, and hang up. And just click that, the old Zhang is back. Here's where Panda's plan starts to start. A former intelligent colleague named V, who now runs what appears to be a legitimate teach consulting firm, but is very obviously something else. Zhang learned that there is a classified data hidden somewhere on whose body, not implanted, embedded, encoded in a frequency chip. A frequency chip attached to one of whose identification tags, the kind of things that would be invisible to anyone who didn't know exactly what to look for. The data, a classified operative list of names, agents, informants, deep covers, operatives across multiple countries, the kind of list that in the world wrong hand would get a lot of people killed, the kind of a list that intelligence agencies spend enormous resources trying to protect and equality enormous resources trying to obtain someone used who used the pandas transferred as unwitting camouflage to move this data internationally, and now multiple functions are racing to get their hands on it. The people who originally hid it, the people who told who, and at least one government agency that's been monitoring the whole situation and has its own agenda. Zong is a catch in the middle of all of this, not because he was recruiting, not because he was assigned, but because somebody took his panda, and that personal, almost absurdly domestic motivation is one of the most charming things about this movie. In a genre full of heroes motivated by revenge, duty, patriotism, of survival, Zhang's primary motivation is give me back my panda, and then we will talk. Now this film introduced several new characters in the second act, and I want to take them one at a time. First there is Liling, placed with the genuine spark and energy by one of the film's younger cast members, a wildlife researcher who has all who has own complicated history with the conversations program, and who it turns out knows more about whose situation than she initially lets on.
You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this?
She became Zhang's reluctant ally, and their dynamic is one of the film's genuine pleasure. She is not a damsel, she is not just in exposition's delivery mechanism. She puts back on Zhang's challenge, his method, and bring her own skills to bear it in a way that matters. And then there's director Fang, the bureaucratic villain, or at least one layer of the film's villain structures, a government official who has been using the Panda's diplomacy program as cover for intelligent operations, and who is now departure to contain the situation. He helped creators. He is not a mischief twirling bad guy. He is something more interesting and more humanizing, a pragmatic, a man who has convinced himself that the collateral damage of his choice is acceptable because the larger mission the larger mission justifies it, and there is a Solomon, the actual muscles, and on the on and on the ground antagonist who leads the group.
You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this?
किधर गया बोयंतिया The central chase structure of Act 2 essentially a three-ways race. Zhang trying to find who Slomon's team trying to exact the data chip before anything stops them, and director Fan people trying to clean up the whole mess quality before it became an international incident. The action sequence here accurate beautifully. We get a mad march chase, classic Chan territory, using the environment as both obstacle the weapons. There is a sequence in a shipping yard that some genuinely creative, tagging with Zhang using cargo containers and loading equipment in ways that are incentive without being physically impossible for a man of Chan's current age. And there is a confrontation is an underground parking garage that has some of the film's best comedic beats. A sequence where Zhang has to fight three men simultaneously while also making sure who he has briefly and unexpectedly managed to retrieve doesn't wander into terrific. The sequence is worth the entire ticket price just that sequence alone. About halfway through the film, something shifts that I didn't see coming the first time I watched it, and I think it genuinely elevates the movie from solid entertainment to something more interesting. Zhang is captured, not rigged, not temporarily detained, actually captured by Slow-Mo's teams, who has been significantly more prepared for him than expected. Here's about to a short location bound and Slow-Mo, rather than the expected villain's monologue, actually has a conversation with him. A real conversation. Slow-Mo tells Zhang that the operative list is not what we told him it was. It's not just name of agents, it's also a list of people who were burned, abandoned by their handlers, left to die, to be captured, to protect operations that were deemed more valuable than the individuals running them. And some of these names and people Zhang used to work with, this movement lands with a real weight, because suddenly his stakes are not just get the panda back, suddenly there is a moral dimensions that in the right hands, on the Zhang hands, depending on your perspective, could expose years of institutional betrayal, could bring justice for people who was sacrificed, could also in the wrong hand trigger a way of target killings. Slow-Mo is not poisoned as a hero here. He is not a whistleblower vigilant. He is mercenary who was hired to obtain this list and doesn't particularly care what happened to it after that, but the information he drops on Zhang creates a genuine international conflict that the film then earns the right to explore. Zhang escapes in a sequence in a sequence that's part clever and slapsticks involving a malfunctioning Scotty camera,
You're
a
surrounded,
back
hero!
cut, and what I can only describe as the most creative use of office here in cinematic history. And the second half of the film began in earnest. Here's where I land and let me transferred about the thinking behind it. Panda Plan is not a top-tier cinematic achievement. It has real flaws, structural issue in the second act, some underdeveloped supporting characters, thematic threats that don't fully resolve. These things are real and they matter when you are doing an honest assessment, but against the bar of what the film is actually trying to be, a warm, funny, inventive action comedy with genuine heart and ultimately excellent central performance. It succeeds remarkably well. It delivers what is promises and then a little bit more, and a little bit more is where films earn their reputation. The rating is 7.5 is a genuine enthusiastic recommendation. It is not great inflection. It reflects a film that does most things well, several things very well, and a few things exceptionally while falling short of the greatness that would push it higher. It is the rating of a very good film that you should watch and probably enjoy quite a lot. Here's the thing that about Jackie Chan that I think about something. The man has broken nearly every bone in his body making movies. He has driven himself past.
You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this?
He has done things on camera that one person would do, and he has done them with a smile, with the creatively, with the commitment to the craft that is almost intimidating to consider. And now in this stage of his career he's doing something different. He's making movies about what it feels like to slow down, to step back, to find value in the quiet and the small and the unexpected, like a relationship with the giant panda rather than the spectacular. There is something almost confessional about that, something that feels like a man using the act from he has given his life in order to process what it means to give something you life and then wonder what comes after. Panda Plan is not just an action comedy, it's a meditation, genuinely funny, action packed and genuine on what endures with the spectacular is over, on what's worth protecting when you have spent a life in service of other people's takes on what peace is possible for someone who was built for conflict. Zhang finds his answer is in who, in Bamboo, in the quiet. Jackie Chan, it seems, is still working on his, and somehow that ongoing search, that refusal to fully resolve, makes both the character and the man who plays is endlessly, genuinely compiling. Panda Plan, watch it. It will make you smile. It will make you root for a panda in way he didn't expect. And if you pay close attention, it might just make you think a little too. And that honestly is about as much as you can ask for a movie Alright, that's going to do it for today's breakdown of Branda Plan. If you made it this far, first of all, respect genuinely. This was a long one, and I appreciate you riding it one with me. If you want more deep dive like this, full story breakdowns, character analysis, thematic explorations of film that deserves more attention than they get, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because this is exactly the kind of content we are going to keep doing here. Drop a comment below and let me know you have seen Panda Plan. What did you think? And more importantly, who is your favorite on scene animals companion this film history? Because I am going to make a case that who deserves a spot in that conversation. I'll see you in the next one.
You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this? You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this? You're surrounded, hero! Not for long! How's this?